Hi, this is Lakhi Singh, the property fixer, here to fix you and help you grow your property and your business affairs to the next level. So if you're looking for knowledge and insights about how to get involved in property, solve your problems about scalability in your property business, then do watch our 20-minute clips. We've taken them from hundreds and thousands of videos that we've taken over the last 6 months, and we've broken them into simple chunks which can make them useful for you. So do watch and do subscribe to our YouTube channel underneath as well.
Good morning, United Kingdom. I think we're live, I've been told. We're live at 6 seconds to live. So good morning to Lakhi Singh, the property fixer.
Morning, everybody. How you doing?
Kingdom, the gentleman, the mover, the shover, the shaman, who knows everyone in the square mile. Person to look out for if you're looking for solutions. And we've also got excellent, very entertaining Mr. Bob Singh with the depth of knowledge on regulated lending, particularly mortgages. So we're going to have today's sort of session, topic being continued from yesterday, the saying of the week, that keep your eye on the goal or on the target and trust the process. And if that's not what it is, it's something like that. And the topic for today and discussion is going to be how you're going to get out of negative debt. But before we start that, we're going to have a general discussion. Lakhi Singh, good morning. How are you doing?
Morning.
Drive time, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., every morning, as usual, sharp and ready to jump into action. How's this morning in London? What's the weather like? How's the mood? You're going into second day of the week, new month, nearly the end of the year. Donald Trump, obviously, unfortunately, has come down with the virus. Tell me what's happening in the United Kingdom. How is it going?
Well, things don't seem to be getting any better. COVID-19 is still quite a phenomenon because the numbers are double. Well, still 25 deaths per week, rather than at the height of 250 deaths a day. So I think the government is still clamping down on say what do you call it, the lockdown, and making sure that people follow the regs. So I think it's getting worse in France and Spain, actually. So they're doing a lot more out there now to possibly close down bars and restaurants altogether, because it's actually getting worse. So I think there's a sort of state of panic the way the media is reporting everything. So it's not looking good. Like I said yesterday, that walked into Pinner High Street the other day, and nearly all the large restaurants are closed down: Zuzi, Pizza Express, Carluccio's, etc., etc. So it is quite a weird phenomena, and I think a lot of people are scared out there.
Okay, Bob, sir, how are you doing?
Morning.
You're
how are you?
Also on the morning. Yeah, good. Tell us, sir, what is and I think you're out in Denham, which is literally just outside of the M25. So you're literally kissing the M25, I think. Is that right, Denham?
Yeah, I can see it from here.
In the greens. So
I can see it
tell
from
me,
here. Yeah.
You can see it from here. Excellent.
No, we're actually we're just within the border of the M25, which is literally a mile from my house. So we're
you're in Denham,
South
inside the
Buckinghamshire
M25, Denham.
Yeah, we're South Buckinghamshire, so we're just on the border between Middlesex and South Bucks.
Okay.
But when the Tories changed the boundaries, they kept
So
denim in. They kept denim into their boundary. You know, so obviously it's a very, very heavily conservative area. So they took the boundary all the way up to Uxbridge.
You fall into, right, so you fall into Hillingdon then, do you?
No, Denham, South Buckinghamshire.
South Bucks, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So, tell me what's the mood like? What's the weather like in Denham then?
Weather is a bit cloudy. I can see possibly some rain later on today. It's been like this all this week, hasn't it? It's been a bit dreary, a bit overcast. Not the sort of weather we want, but that's the way it is, isn't it? Winter's on its way, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's going to hit us quite early this time. A lot of people are saying the winter flu or the bug is going to be on us quite soon. And this time, the prediction is that it's going to be a long winter and quite a sort of an early winter. Is that right?
I have my long johns ready, so that's good.
Excellent. Right. Okay. There's a bit of secret there from Bob and the secrets to his success, and that is long johns. You need to wear long johns if you want to get into mortgage broking. A good tip there. Right. So Donald Trump come down with COVID. What do you think about it, sir? Bob, what's your feeling? Do you think it's a gimmick? Do you think it's genuine? And if it's either one, what does that prove?
I mean, never believe anything in politics. That's what I say, because at the top level, anything can happen, and the public can be easily hoodwinked into believing one thing when it's actually something else. Now, Trump is the master of deception. You know, he says one thing, does something else, and thinks something else. So it could have been a election gimmick, I don't know, but the fact he was away, the fact he has had treatment means he probably was suffering from COVID, but he's made a remarkable recovery much, much sooner than our Boris did. He's already out, apparently, and waving to the crowds.
Yeah.
You know? So it's quite miraculous. So whatever drugs he was given, I think everybody else should get them as well.
Well, there you hit the nail on the head, sir. Maybe it was a bit of marketing. As I say, no such thing as bad marketing. Maybe that will be the underlying reason that the drugs he's used are the ones that will be promoted. Lakhi Singh, what's your take on it? Do you think it was a gimmick, or do you think it was real? And what benefit did it have?
I think the general sentiment on the internet and with most people I know, they just think it's far too much of a coincidence, like 3 weeks before the election, that you know. So I think there's a general sentiment is that he's looking for some sort of sympathy vote. How serious it is and what it actually is, I don't know. It could just be like a minor cold, and they're making something a bit more out of it than it should be. That bit I don't know. So if anything, you know, they should probably get an independent person to test it, to let the public really know whether it's really going on, or whether it's just a mask for marketing and PR. But I think he's done well out of it, because it's worked. Whatever he wanted to do, people are going to be empathetic to it, and it's certainly you know, made a bit of a dent in terms of people thinking out there.
Okay, I mean, the point is, he is Mr. What was it now? The business show. What was it called? The
Apprentice.
The Apprentice. That's right. So he knows how to manipulate the camera. So I think there could be an element of that there. And yes, too close to the elections makes it a bit too obvious. But having said that, he is behind. If anything, there is a downside to him getting in, and that is that what he was doing has shown even more clearly extreme irresponsibility. Being the president of the country, you can't afford to do that. They're even talking about the fact that he sat in the beast with the flu, with the virus, and he's probably put all of his agents at severe risk, because it's actually apparently the beast has been designed to be nuclear bomb protected. So any nuclear missile that goes off, or what's it now, chemical attack, the beast is supposed to be totally sealed off, supposed to be armored plated from every angle. I think it's about a couple of tons in weight. And he had his security guys in there with him, basically ensuring there was no way that the virus was going to get out, which means there was only one option, and that's the guys who came in to sit with him have been potentially put at risk. But anyhow, leaving that aside, okay, so we know he's a bit of a game show host. He knows how to play the camera. We have Sonia this morning. We have Sejal this morning. Amar Ali this morning. We have Smith and Safraz Ahmed. All of them saying a big high shout out to the drive time. Excellent. Right. So keep your eye on the goal and trust the process. Can we have your thoughts on this, Bob? Trusting the process. When you put in mortgage applications, is that what you do? Do you trust the process, or do you find the process sometimes gets confused, because ultimately the process without people isn't AI, isn't it really? So AI isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about a process that people manage. So you put an application in for someone's mortgage account. Do you get hiccups? Do you get misunderstandings? Do you get people come back with weird questions about the application, even though it's quite straightforward? Do you get lenders asking ridiculous questions that seem somewhat without foundation, don't have any sense behind them? Or is the process to be, can you trust the process? Can you just say, right, keep your eye on the goal. So when you put an application in, your eye on the goal is to get the application approved, and then trust the process. Can that work, sir?
Sorry, I lost the reception. So is that question to me or Lakhi?
So it's to you.
Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah. In this world, in this climate, expect the unexpected. Because what's happening right now is there's a lot of junior underwriters in the market. They've just been brought in because lender volumes are pretty high. They can't process it as quick as it's coming in. So we are getting ridiculous decisions and quite unnecessary declines, because these people have no life experience in underwriting. They're treating it as a bit of a tick box exercise. There's no common sense applied to the applications at all in most cases. And, we tear our hair out. It's no wonder.
Okay, so you're saying there is, I mean, what they've got in the tick box isn't what's in the application. So there is it does become difficult, doesn't it? You can't really trust the process, because that means you probably have lots of no's when they should have been legitimately a yes. Is that right?
We have lots of no's and a lot of delayed yeses. You literally have to fight your corner for the client, explain the whole situation phrase by phrase so they understand it. Because let's face it, the underwriters aren't accountants. They just look at the basic figures on the balance sheet and sort of decide whether, they're sort of earning the right sort of money.
It makes financial sense. Okay. Lakhi Singh, same question to you, sir. You've got a process, right? And you've got your eye on the target. It's a commercial loan application, and you've got to approve it. Do you have to just trust the process, or are you having to do some dancing? Do you need to tap dance?
What's happened is the commercial lending market, it's always been a bit touch and go anyway. I'm sure Bob would agree. So it's always been a bit tough to get bridging finance through, because lenders tend to be quite picky. They can be afford to be quite picky and choosy, especially if the assets are problematic or the clients are problematic because they've got bad debts, or they've got some bankruptcy issues, CCJs, defaults. Because we tend to do a lot of difficult cases, the general theme of them tends to be that I usually have a non-expectation. So I always have about at least 4 or 5 options lined up anyway. So what's happening now in the commercial mortgage market, commercial bridging market, you could call it, or development funding market, is it's never a yes until the money's in the bank.
Yeah.
Because they could pull out any time. Because if they don't like something, they can pick and choose really, the type of client they want. A lot of bridging companies are also becoming a lot more selective now. So if they can give a clean client with a large asset-based money, they rather do that than to be giving money to somebody who's half-baked, who's got CCJ and it's quite a high loan to value, but they've got no credentials. So what's happened is we've had to dig deeper and find a wider panel of private lenders in the last 2 years. But in anticipation of this problem occurring in the market, we've already got a panel of about 50 private lenders that we can turn to. But ours is become more boutique lending, which is always the case before, but it's become even more so now. So nearly every deal I'm doing is tailor-made to the client.
Okay, I mean, we talked about something which is very important, central to all applications, whether it's commercial or it's residential or regulated lending, let's say. A credit report, how important is that? Because a lot of banks are not really looking at credit files anymore for their customers, and they're just looking at the customer paying their bills properly, paying the credit card off if they've got a loan with the bank, and they're not really looking at their credit report, even though they may have CCJs, etc. So is that the same in the regulated market, Bob? Are you finding certain lenders will ignore minor, omissions on the credit file? And can they be corrected? Because I think the credit file is one of the most fundamental documents, but yet it's so archaic, it hardly has any, it lacks sophistication, where you have people screaming down the phone, trying to explain to them that the CCJ has been wrongly placed on, or it's a CCJ that relates to a brother who's got the same initials, and by mistake they've had it put on their credit file. And I also recall certain people I spoke to had CCJs issued on their name, and they were not the defaulting party. So the judgment was in favor of them, but for some unknown reason, the court had sent off the register of the county court judgments on their name rather than on the defaulter. So how is the credit file market, has that changed? Is it still archaic? Is it still difficult to fix something, even if it's a minor telephone bill that was paid, but they think it wasn't paid, and it's hindering applications? Bob, first to you, because I think the credit file probably has more resonance or more importance on residential or regulated lending than it does on commercial. So tell me.
Yeah, absolutely. The credit file is certainly in the UK the be-all and end-all of your financial future. Without a good credit file, you're not really going to get too far. Now, there's quite a few credit referencing agencies that record all the data about you, how you know, whether you pay your bills and mortgages on time and that sort of thing.